please join us in welcoming the distinguished members of our platform party.
Ladies and gentlemen, new COVID guidelines adopted by New York State tell us that if you are fully vaccinated and feel comfortable, you may remove your mask. For all others, we ask that you follow the guidelines and keep your masks on. Thank you.
Good morning. Actually, good morning, yes. My name is Richard Larson. As president of the University Senate, I'm honored to formally open today's ceremony. Here now, in the presence of the candidates for academic recognition, faculty, administration, alumni, honored guests, and friends of the State University of New York at Stony Brook, our commencement ceremony is hereby convened. Please rise as you are able for the singing of our national anthem, which will be led by Danielle Nanny of our music department.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glow, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Thank you.
Please be seated. It is now my distinct pleasure to present to you the president of Stony Brook University, Dr. Maury McInnes.
Welcome to all present today at this historic commencement. Welcome to the members of the faculty and staff, to the parents and friends of our graduates, and above all, to the graduating class of 2021. It is my pleasure to introduce someone renowned for his extraordinary service to the state of New York. Although he's a Brooklyn resident, he has been a tireless advocate for Long Island and a close friend of the Stony Brook family, United States Senator Chuck Schumer.
Hello, Stony Brook. This is Senator Chuck Schumer, and it's my honor to address the faculty and staff, the families and friends of the graduates, but most of all, you, the class of 2021. Everyone says your senior year in college will be the most memorable, and for many of you, it probably has been. The challenge of these moments are truly unique, but so has been our collective response. The fact that we're still celebrating this graduation, it just goes to show that New Yorkers won't let anything stop us from honoring what's so important in life. Nothing can take away from the fact that you've earned a degree from such a fine institution of higher learning. So, class of 2021, my message to you is simple. Right now, it may feel like the future is uncertain, but don't let the harshness of this past year prevent you from seizing new opportunities. And we need your help and your courage to rebuild our country even stronger than it was before. So to the graduates, I say once again, congratulations, good luck, Godspeed.
Thank you, Senator Schumer. Thank you for being with us virtually today to join us in celebrating this remarkable commencement. Graduates, I can feel your excitement. Today marks our return to in-person commencements. We are celebrating future physicians and healthcare experts who have persevered and even thrived during changing educational circumstances, and we're able to do it alongside the friends and family who supported them all the way. That is something we're celebrating. And I'd like to begin by leading a round of applause, first for all of our guests here who have been integral in our graduates' journey. So graduates, please rise and give your friends and family a round of applause. And now, friends and family, it's your turn. Let's stand and give a big cheer for the class of 2021. You may be seated. Graduates, you have learned and grown more in your time in university than anyone could have predicted. On this momentous occasion, let us reflect on the qualities that will distinguish our Stony Brook University class of 2021. Stony Brook is a place of community between disciplines, students, staff, and faculty, and neighbors and partners across the world. During their time here, our students make vital connections, friends and mentors who will buoy them personally and professionally for the rest of their lives. In a year of physical distancing, our class of 2021 learned in different ways to collaborate and connect. You had to reorganize your home lives, prioritize your health, maintain friendships, and adapt to new modes of doing learning and healthcare. In the final year of your journey, you had to find community and connection during global upheaval. It was a daunting task. And yet, time and time again, your class met this challenge with positivity, ingenuity, and hope. As the state worked rapidly to care for patients and fight COVID-19, our students ran test sites, provided medical attention, used their knowledge in medicine and healthcare to keep our community safe. I am inspired by the way today's graduates have used their skills to support one another and to support our community. I am proud of the leadership that the class of 2021 has shown. Also in the last year, our nation has made a step change in acknowledging past and current systemic racism. Students in the class of 2021 were on the vanguard in demanding racial justice and working to promote equity and inclusivity in their schools, departments, and organizations. They demonstrated that Seawolves have integrity and that our university understands the critical intersection of health and justice. As the class of 2021 sets out to make its contributions to our society, I cannot imagine a group of students more capable of moving these conversations into action. In times of strife, we will look to you as a constructive voice and positive energy toward a better future for all. Today, we celebrate a new generation of physicians and healthcare experts that are truly wise beyond their years. You have persevered through incredible odds. You have stayed cool under pressure. You have cultivated empathy and accountability amidst global tumult. You have shown quick thinking and creativity during a time of constant change. You are leaving Stony Brook with firsthand knowledge of the human condition and all its foibles, nuances, and possibilities. And this is what society needs to lead us to a better and healthier future. And this is what we have in the Stony Brook University Renaissance School of Medicine class of 2021. As you join Stony Brook's more than 200,000 alumni across the globe, we want you to stay connected to Stony Brook. Engage with our passionate community and consider this university a second home to celebrate all of your achievements. Your track record is singular. You've graduated under unmatched circumstances, showing grace, determination, and resilience in the face of adversity. Your talent and experience will make an indelible impact on this world. You have seen the unexpected and pernicious challenges that life can deliver, and already the class of 2021 has met those challenges and never stopped learning. For years to come, we here at Stony Brook will look with admiration at your demonstrated strength, your proven compassion, and your earned wisdom. Congratulations, class of 2021. And now please join me in welcoming Dr. William Wertheim, Interim Dean, Renaissance School of Medicine at Stony Brook University.
Thank you, President McInnes, Provost Goldbart, University Senate President Richard Larson, Vice President Gatto, distinguished faculty, family and friends, and especially the amazing class of 2021 of the Renaissance School of Medicine at Stony Brook University. It is my great privilege to welcome you to our 47th School of Medicine commencement. Today's celebration is a reflection of the outstanding achievements of this group of new doctors and a tribute to their dedication and their commitment to medicine. These young physicians came to Stony Brook from a variety of places and undergraduate schools with a wide array of talents, aspirations, backgrounds, and have enriched the School of Medicine with their accomplishments. There are some very notable things about your class. You are the largest class ever to graduate Stony Brook's School of Medicine. You are also the first class to graduate people in 3 years, our first group of our novel 3-year curriculum. And of course, you have persevered in your medical education through a pandemic the likes of which have not been seen for 100 years. Though I have said you came to us with a wide array of places, from a wide array of places with a wide array of talents, it is less important to note that than to observe that all of you share a common passion to learn as much as you can and to become the outstanding physicians you all have become. And that passion each of you has exhibited will ultimately benefit people. The people you directly care for in your chosen specialty, the people who are cared for by those of you who teach other physicians in training, the people whose health will be improved by the scientific advances you will make. Medicine remains a noble calling, and I am so proud of and impressed by each of you for having chosen this career. We live in a time when much of the public discussion in our society reflect our divisions, where people too often seek information which serves not to challenge their assumptions, but to reinforce their biases. In medicine, we cannot afford to practice in speculation or in assumptions. You all know this, and it is worth repeating. Take good care of your patients, regardless of their background, their station in life, the way they look, or the way they talk. Every one of your patients has dignity and has a story, and those stories deserve respect. Speak the truth and advocate for your patients, for their care, for their dignity, and for justice on their behalf. Medicine is a challenging career, one with many moments of tension and anxiety, punctuated with the joy of healing, of comforting, of helping someone in need with skills few in our society possess. With regards to the tense and anxious moments which each of you will experience in your practice, whether in delivering bad news or navigating a complex surgery, take heed from the words I'm borrowing from Atina Horner, the former president of Radcliffe College, who would cite each year to students the wisdom found on jars of Hellmann's mayonnaise. Keep cool. Do not freeze. Regarding the moments of intense satisfaction and joy, allow those to be what you remember most of all, and allow those to sustain you throughout your careers. Congratulations. And now, it is my honor to welcome our guest speaker, Dr. Kenneth Kashansky, Senior Vice President of the Health Sciences Center and Dean Emeritus of the Renaissance School of Medicine at Stony Brook University.
Thank you, Bill. Let me add my welcome to President McGinnis, Provost Goldbart, University Senate President Larson, Dean Wertheim, our distinguished faculty and leaders, families and friends, and most of all, of course, welcome to the class of 2021 of the Renaissance School of Medicine. While this is my 11th and final time at commencement, the last time I can call you our students, it's my first time delivering our keynote address. So my profound thanks to Dean Wertheim for the tremendous honor and privilege. Let me start by offering my heartfelt congratulations to the 150 students who bring us here together. When we first met on that hot afternoon of August 11th, 2017, at a welcoming barbecue at Lauren's and my home, Most of you seem somewhat apprehensive about the coming years, but your intellect and drive served you well. Your mastery of the complex interactions between the art and science of medicine, your humanity, and commitment to the principles of medicine have been truly inspiring to all of our faculty and leaders, and we are excited about your future. The Nobel laureate chemist Paul Berg, who launched recombinant DNA technology, stated that physicians, by their encounters with the proximity to patients displaying a range of pathologies, are often the first to identify novel and disruptive aspects of human biology. Indeed, physicians have initiated some of the most significant discoveries that have changed the course of humanity. I'd like to spend a few minutes sharing 3 illustrations of how great an impact physicians can make, in some cases literally transforming their field of medicine and alleviating much human suffering. Events that make me believe in the majestic opportunities of modern medicine, the career upon which you embark today. And just so I'm transparent in my goal, I hope this vision of modern medicine serves as a catalyst for each of you to seize the opportunity afforded by your Renaissance training to make as great an impact as you possibly can make. And the common thread in my comments today will be encompassed in a single word: translation. Translation from the science of medicine to its clinical implementation is all around us and is revolutionizing how you will practice medicine, I promise. My first example is heart disease. In 1985, 2 physicians, Mike Brown, a gastroenterologist, and Joe Goldstein, a medical geneticist, won the Nobel Prize in Medicine for their discovery of the link between cholesterol and atherosclerotic heart disease. I doubt there's a person in our audience today that has not experienced the tragic loss of someone close because of an unexpected heart attack. Mike and Joe studied rare families they and others had seen in whom premature heart disease was very common, and found that the first step in cholesterol production was altered in these patients, ultimately causing far too much cholesterol to be deposited in their blood vessels. This work led, among many other directions, to the development of statins, medications that lower cholesterol and which are the most commonly prescribed class of drugs in the Western world. As a quick aside, Mike, a great friend and colleague, delivered last year's Renaissance School of Medicine commencement address. Such cholesterol plaques can be quite unstable, and when they rupture, they trigger the flowing blood to clot, completely blocking the artery, causing a heart attack. Reasoning that dissolving those clots might save the heart from damage, Eugene Braunwald, a cardiologist, launched what was termed the TIMI trial, thrombolysis in myocardial infarction, using a drug that promoted clot breakdown, which opened the occluded arteries in nearly 60% of patients suffering an acute myocardial infarction. Since then, Gene's group has launched more than 70 additional TIMI studies of different drugs and devices that crush the plaque, allowing better blood flow, improving upon these results. As another aside, Gene delivered the School of Medicine commencement address in 2015. While insights into halting the acute damage of a heart attack with coronary occlusion was a major milestone, what would prevent the plaque from rupturing again and causing the same damage a day or a week later? Another physician, Stony Brook's own Dr. Barry Collar, who had been studying how blood platelets initiate the clots that develop on coronary plaques, devised a way to interfere with platelet clotting, modifying an antibody he had created, producing the drug abciximab. You won't be surprised to learn that Barry, a hematologist and generous supporter of Stony Brook, delivered the School of Medicine commencement address in 2017. And while cardiovascular disease is still the most common cause of death in the United States, Its rate has fallen from 500 persons per 100,000 when Mike and Joe made their seminal discovery to only 200 per 100,000 individuals today, a remarkable 60% reduction, in no small measure to those innovations. My second example is sickle cell anemia, a terrible lifelong disease caused by an inherited mutation in hemoglobin, the oxygen-carrying molecule of red blood cells. Sickling in red cells causes blockage of small arteries, leading to very painful crises, strokes, lung and kidney damage that afflicted patients suffer, often leading to a shortened lifespan. Many years ago, a pediatrician, Janet Watson, noted that the blood cells of newborns who later develop bona fide sickle cell anemia do not sickle, and such patients only develop symptoms when fetal hemoglobin is replaced by adult hemoglobin in the months after birth. In addition, Dr. Watson observed that fetal hemoglobin appeared to protect red cells in persons with sickle cell anemia from sickling. So the idea was hatched by several physicians, including two very good friends, George Stamatoianopoulos and Thalia Papaiopoulou. Try saying that 3 times quickly. Another medical geneticist and hematologist, that if adults with sickle cell could be induced to express fetal hemoglobin, their disease would be greatly improved or eliminated. That idea has now evolved to reality. Several years ago, a hematologist named Griff Rogers led the pivotal clinical trial showing that the drug hydroxyurea, which increases fetal hemoglobin, halved the number of painful sickle crises. Griff shared his story growing up with Black friends in Baltimore who were devastated by sickle cell anemia during his School of Medicine commencement address in 2012, the life-changing event that propelled Griff to become a physician. And now, building on this start, just 4 months ago, a clinical trial was reported by Erica Esrick and Dave Williams, 2 pediatricians, in which 6 patients with severe sickle cell anemia had their blood cells specifically modified using CRISPR technology. In this case, eliminating the gene that shuts down expression of fetal hemoglobin at birth. In all 6 patients, a huge increase in fetal hemoglobin was found in their blood, and all 6 patients experienced a major or complete elimination of their painful crises. And finally, a third exemplar of medicine translation, one that has touched me and my family, a remarkable approach to blood cancer, chronic myelogenous leukemia. About 6 years ago, I received a call from my cousin. Sandy had always been in excellent health, with only the usual aches and pains of being in her early 70s. And on the day of her routine annual physician visit, she felt no different. However, something quite unusual turned up, a white blood cell count of 100,000. And for our guests today, 10 to 20 times normal. Being a hematologist, I asked her to read me the white blood cell differential as all of our students would. It took about 4 milliseconds before I could give Sandy the diagnosis of chronic myelogenous leukemia. I explained to my cousin that when I started my career in hematology, and for some years to come, that diagnosis was a virtual death sentence for every patient it touched. I personally lost a number of young patients from CML early in my medical career, each a huge tragedy for their families, for their friends, and for their physician. I then went on to explain that a medical geneticist, Janet Rowley, who was slated to be our commencement speaker in 2013, had identified the genetic mutation in blood cells responsible for causing CML. Based on Janet's discovery, I shared with Sandy that over the next 15 years, something amazing had occurred. A drug that targets the specific cause of CML had been devised and tested by an oncologist, an occasional running partner of mine, Brian Drucker. With a 95% long-term response rate to the drug called Gleevec, CML had changed from an almost invariant death sentence when I began my career to a chronic, well-tolerated condition treated by swallowing 1 pill a day. I explained to Sandy that she would soon get a blood test called BCR-ABL PCR to confirm her diagnosis, get a bone marrow exam to look at her chromosomes, and then her doctor would likely start her on Gleevec. 3 weeks later, I received an email from Sandy in which she stated, and I quote, "So Ken, you were right. It is chronic myelogenous leukemia, and thank goodness, nothing more serious." Nothing more serious for a disease that was uniformly fatal. We are now 6 years later, monitoring her blood and mutant gene copy number, which at last testing was less than 0.01% of abnormal cells. Medicine is truly majestic. Heart disease, blood disease, cancer, what is next? There are now dozens of such success stories of translational medicine. Aren't you glad Dean Wertheim limited me to 15 minutes? But there are hundreds and thousands of diseases that have tragic human consequences that need translating into new approaches. This is my challenge to the class of 2021. Continue to embrace all that medicine has to offer. Continue to problem solve. Continue to think beyond what you know to what you want to know. Live the phrase lifelong learning, and I hope, like me, you will be mesmerized, curious, and compelled to engage. Be the physician that not only administers novel treatments to your patients, because UpToDate says so, but that communicates the what, the why, and the how it works to your patients. They will be appreciative. Be the physician who participates in clinical trials or in basic science discovery, because there is nothing more uplifting than generating new knowledge. When asked about the presidency, George W. Bush was quoted as saying, "It's hard work. Sometimes you have to work Saturdays." Yes, he really did say that. And the class of 2021 has heard me say that medicine is hard work. Sometimes you have to work Sundays. So I again encourage all of you to work hard, following your passion, because leaning in on one's passion is not hard work at all. It's a life well lived. Recall what one of the most famous of all Renaissance scholars, Michelangelo, said. The greater danger for most of us lies not in setting our aim too high and falling short, but in setting our aim too low and achieving our mark. And finally, a quote from another famous and wise personality of our age. I truly hope that you all live long and prosper. Bravo and Godspeed, class of 2021. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dean Kashansky. It is now my pleasure to welcome to the podium Chineze Webube, a member of the class of 2021, who will deliver our graduate address.
Good afternoon, deans, faculty, class of 2021, family, and friends. I am honored to be in front of you today. Nervous, but honored. 9 years ago, I was an undergraduate student in Canada trying to get into medical school. I was devastated when my academic advisor told me that I would never get into medical school with the first-year grades that I had. My lovely but very stubborn Nigerian parents, who never take no for an answer, pushed me to find another advisor. So I did. I found an incredible mentor who was the chair of my program. and he guided me through the application process at the beginning of my final year. Even when I received my first medical school rejection from all the schools, he encouraged me to look for what I was passionate about. Because truthfully, my application did not express my truest motivations. So I thought about it. I loved music for as long as I could remember. I was a pianist, and I also taught piano at the time. I also was really intrigued by the brain, and I found myself going into neuroscience courses wherever I could. So, after stumbling upon a book about music and neuroscience, one thing led to another, and I found myself in a master's program in London, England, studying just that, music and neuroscience. 8 months into my master's, I realized that medicine was still what I actually wanted to do. I wanted to apply what I was learning in my master's and put that in a more clinical setting. Yes, I had tried for medical school before, but I was applying for the wrong reasons. I was only doing it because that was the right thing to do. But now I knew what my passion would be. Now I have motivations, I have passions, and I was hoping that this would come through. So I applied again, passionate and ready. To my very surprise, I was rejected again, without so much as an interview. I vividly remember opening a letter and getting the rejection from the last school I was waiting on, falling to the floor and bursting to tears. I also have to mention that in between those times of trying for medical school, I had tried the MCAT multiple times. At this time, it was about 3 or 4. So I gave up. I said I was not going to try anymore. I was not going to go into medical school. I had wasted so much of my time and my energy and my money. And worst of all, I felt like I was losing bits of myself with each failed attempt. Not long after this, my brother gifted me with an engraved stethoscope while telling me that he was proud of me and he admired my drive. I did not know how to feel. I was unbelievably touched. I had been beating myself up for not being enough, but to my younger brother, I was admired. But to me, I hadn't done anything yet. Somehow, I could still feel the power of my family and my friends rallying behind me. Months after taking a step back and reevaluating my next steps, I was blessed to have found a job in Toronto working as a research coordinator at a cardiac rehab center. I was using what I learned in my master's program. I was living downtown. I was getting paid. Life was good. But something was missing. Call me crazy, but this experience made me want to go to medical school even more. There was a nagging feeling, but after everything that I had gone through, my confidence was shattered, so I was hesitant. With family, friends, and mentors behind me again, I mustered up the courage to apply again. This time, I got interviews. Not just one, but multiple. Here I was, beating myself up for the numerous rejections, when along this journey, I had gained a wealth of experiences. I went to a master's program I loved. I got extensive research experience. I got published. I matured. I traveled. And most importantly, I learned more about myself, who I was, and who I wanted to be. All of which contributed to me arriving here at Stony Brook. What motivated you to apply to medical school? What has brought you to this graduating moment? Graduating class, I invite you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Recall the key moments that have led up to this day. What key people stand out? And what key experiences stand out? Hold on to them. Some of you may have thought about the struggles of getting into medical school, or the ease. Now, we don't hear that story too often, but some of you may have just rolled right into medical school, and that's amazing. You may have thought of the fun or the agony, for me, of anatomy lab. Some of you may have thought of the bonds you cultivated here, the relationships that you formed with med school friends turned family. In each of our experiences, there came a time where we all decided to accept our medical school offer from Stony Brook. I can remember my second look day when I was deciding between programs, and the Dean of Admissions, Grace Agnetti, offered to give my father a tour of the medical school campus. I remember thinking, she's the dean, doesn't she have more important things to do? Members from the class above me were there, and they welcomed me with open arms. I also met some fun prospective students at Second Look, who, fast forward to now, are amongst my closest friends. That feeling of family and community I felt that day never left. Stony Brook has offered us a lot. From day one, we had the mentorship from our senior class who showed us the ropes, an opportunity to find communities that resonated with each of us. For me, it was SNMA. Shout out to my SNMA family and my advisors, Dr. Phillips, Ms. Heinel, Dr. Jordan, and Dr. Williams, who gave me the avenue to give back to the community, and more importantly, gave me a community to lean on, especially during trying times that affected us. We've had the opportunity to meet incredible mentors along the way. For me and many of the future neurologists in the class, it was Dr. Harth. Our deans readily available. Student affairs, always willing to help this international girl with her paperwork. There are many people that could be mentioned, but I would go way over my allotted time if I did. But what is the experience of medical school without your classmates? Thank you to my classmates. We've had amazing moments, like class events, dancing in Port Jefferson post-exams, pre-COVID, of course. First and second year formal, Taco Tuesdays, bachelor and bachelorette nights, our cardio lectures with Kaveh, ending every lecture with, "See you on the floors," when in fact we were seeing him 10 minutes later for our next class. Some formed new additions to the family. Some formed new relationships. And these are just to name a few. I do, of course, have to highlight the struggles. How could I not mention the big elephant in the room, the pandemic? We've all experienced it in a myriad of ways, similarly and different. Moments of grief, despair, hopelessness, and frustration. Moments of gratitude and unexpected joy too. Appreciation. Shout out to those of us who had their board exams rescheduled multiple times in the height of the pandemic. Not to mention our fancy Zoom studios and having to choose a residency program without ever having stepped foot in the hospital, and sometimes even the city. But we did it. Here we are sitting today. Thank you for being the most incredible class to go through this with. Being here today and this moment came with all its memories of how I got here and all our memories of how we each arrived here. Today will soon be a memory. May this memory serve you in your path onwards. Know that it is not a coincidence that you are here. We are here for a reason, at this very moment in history, the graduating class amidst a global pandemic. Our experiences at Stony Brook have equipped us. You may be moving forward with a host of emotions like I am, and that is okay. I hope that you too will move forward, knowing that this will serve as the exact experience that we needed to propel towards what is next for each of us. I want to say a special thank you to my family. My parents who rallied behind me every single step of the way and who serve as my biggest inspirations. My siblings, Chuma, Chinwe, and Chiama, who couldn't be here today, who have been my cheerleaders since day one. My fiance, Yusui, my extended family, you know who you are, my mentors, my class, my Halleck family, my SNMA family, and Stony Brook, for giving me the opportunity to thrive and finally do what I felt like I was called to do. As we've all taken a few moments to reflect today on our past, a huge thank you to all of the key people in our lives that got us here. Thank you.
Thank you, Chineze. It's now my pleasure to welcome to the podium Associate Dean Fuhrer, Associate Dean Cohen, Assistant Dean Fleet, Director Froman, Associate Dean Phillips, Assistant Dean Stranopal, and Vice Dean Wackett.
Good afternoon. President McGinnis, Provost Goldbart, Deans Kashansky and Wertheim, Professor Larson, esteemed members of the Platform Party, distinguished faculty, dear family members and friends. It is my distinct honor and privilege to present to you Stony Brook University's Renaissance School of Medicine graduating class of 2021. Graduates, I have the honor of being the first to officially call you doctor. Note, I said officially. As we all know, you've been called doctor by family and friends since you received that first letter of acceptance to medical school. And I have no doubt that many of you have offered both solicited and unsolicited medical opinions since your first day in anatomy. During these past few years, you've worked hard to get here, and your work has paid off. And soon you'll be starting the next phase of your training, residency. And trust me when I say you will be working harder. But at the same time, you can trust me when I say that your Stony Brook education has given you the necessary clinical skills and medical knowledge to do well in residency and beyond. So congratulations for all that you have accomplished. We are all very proud of you, and we wish you well as you enter the next phases of your medical career. Will the students in the first row please line up to the right of stage or my left? And I will ask the first hooder, Dr. David Cohen, who is the Associate Dean for Student Affairs, to please join me up here. I believe the President and Dr. Wertheim, you know? Oh, okay. Dr. Samuel Achnuth. Dr. Leona Alcia. Dr. Kyle Douglas Al-Bagley. Dr. Chima Ahmadi. Dr. Rebecca Anderson. Dr. Julie Andrea Araujo. Dr. Karan Arul. Dr. Christopher Asirfatham. Dr. Bradley Michael Ashcroft. Dr. Marissa Ayas. Dr. Somir Beg. Dr. Noyid Bakhteri. Dr. Courtney A. Balgobin. Dr. Barina Epke Benuna. Dr. Kobe Basal. Dr. Aviva Bilik. Dr. Justin Bell. Dr. Adam Benjamin Bindleglass. Dr. Aurora Chow. Dr. James Alexander Cavalcanti. Dr. Lauren Stephanie Chan. Dr. Annie Chow. Dr. Danling Chen. Dr. David Chen. Dr. George Chen. Dr. Sean Chen. The next group of students will be hooded by Dr. Howard Fleet, Assistant Dean for Curriculum. Dr. Yuen Cheng. Dr. Kimberlyn Chu. Dr. Kenneth Chow. Dr. Rachel Lynn Chu. Dr. Alexandra Linda Cordzides. Dr. Megan Elizabeth Cosgrove. Dr. Nicole D'Ambrosio. Dr. Colin Dabrowski. Dr. Priyanka Das. Dr. Simrat Dhaliwal. Dr. Brittany Parvina Dotal. Dr. Jonathan Dunell. Dr. Judith Eng. Dr. Brecken S. Esper. Dr. Austin Ferrier. Dr. Eliana Fine. Dr. Joseph Viola. Dr. Jonathan Kevorkian. Dr. Kanad Ghosh. Dr. Jason Geraldo. Dr. Monica Geraldo. Dr. Richard John Gray. Dr. William Guo. Dr. Matthew Hakimi. Dr. Catherine Harmon. Dr. Thomas Robert Hayes. The next group of students will be hooded by Dr. Jadan Phillips, Associate Dean for Minority Student Affairs. Dr. Christopher James Higginbotham. Dr. Disha Hali Prasad. Dr. Alexander John Hoagland. Dr. Terrence Lamar Howard. Dr. Vasily Charles Christides. Dr. Jesse Wong. Dr. Robert Hutnick. Dr. Sophia Ann Jacob. Dr. Natalie Jarazadeh. Dr. Asha Job. Dr. Sonia Mukund Joshi. Dr. Nikitha Karkala. Dr. Samuel Katz. Dr. Bedad Kaviampur. Dr. Masuma Kazmi. Dr. Barrett Kemp. Dr. Laura Kenyon. Dr. Vasilios Kouloudis. Dr. Preston Kung. Dr. Shoheen Lajabardi. Dr. Brant Lai. Dr. Malika Lal. Dr. Jordan Lastra. Dr. Emily Liang. Dr. Mark Philip Levine Weinberg. The next group of students will be hooded by Dr. Lisa Strano Paul, Assistant Dean for Clinical Education. Dr. Catherine Liu. Dr. Asha Liverpool. Dr. Atman Makadia. Dr. Naveen Ashok Malangada. Dr. Alyssa Mangino. Dr. Christopher Fortune Mazio. Dr. Courtney McPhee. Dr. Christopher Medrano. Dr. Sina Marabon Farr. Dr. Carl Meyer. Dr. Rebecca Nicole Monastero. Dr. Maxwell Alex Moore. Dr. Spencer Mosak. Dr. Abhishek Naidu. Dr. Jacqueline Patricia Aiko Nakamura. Dr. Japani Nanda. Dr. Harris Noor. Dr. Chineze Webube. Dr. Samantha Michelle Palmer. Dr. Christine Pando. Dr. David Abram Pasternak. Dr. Ulysses Perdomo Argueta. Dr. Brittany Persia. Dr. James Peter. Dr. Omar Pinkasov. The next group of students will be hooded by Dr. Andrew White Brackett, Vice Dean of Undergraduate Medical Education. Dr. Gina Marie Polizzo. Dr. Katya Trudeau-Portkin. Dr. Nishant Prosher. Dr. Cindy Angelia Punta. Dr. Roy Wong Chu. Dr. Christopher Rasidi. Dr. Elizabeth Marie Romero. Dr. Christopher Ryan Rosenberg. Dr. Etienne Rosaire. Dr. Alyssa Ripkin. Dr. Spencer Mead Shell. Dr. Ryan S. Shum. Dr. James William Schur. Dr. Haley Scott. Dr. Shah Shah. Dr. Rebecca Shum. Dr. William Joseph Signorilli III. Dr. Yok Mun Sung. Dr. Lai Yu Sang. Dr. Michael William Sulis. Dr. Stella Su. Dr. Mark Verberg. Dr. Jessica Daly White. Dr. Ada Wong. Dr. Ariel Wu. Dr. Andrew Benjamin Wiley. Dr. Christina Teresa Young. Dr. Victoria Yuan. Dr. Aaron Zlatopolsky. Dr. Shangui Zhou. The following graduating students were not able to join us today: Dr. Robert Apton, Dr. Joseph Adachi, Dr. Betty Anderson, Dr. Ian William Terry Davidson, Dr. Stephen Hom, Dr. John Christosik, Dr. Jan Newsbrook, Dr. Lindsay Pang, Dr. Darian Parsi, Dr. Elizabeth Rosen, Dr. Katerina Marie Stoffers, Dr. Samuel Tack, Dr. Catherine Brady Tang, and Dr. Cadence Trabini, as well as Dr. Yu Wang. At this point, the next group of graduates were students in our NIH-funded medical scientist training program and earned both PhDs and MD degrees during their tenure at Stony Brook. They will be hooded by Dr. Michael Froman, Director of the Medical Scientist Training Program. Dr. Jason Carter. Dr. Alexander Jarris. Dr. Joanna Chang Kyung Kim. Dr. John Jason Sonis. Dr. Eric Roth. And last but not least, Dr. Alan Ting-Jun Yu. As Alan returns to his chair, I will ask the graduates please stand up for another round of applause from the audience. Please remain standing.
Graduates, if you could remain standing, please. President McInnes, it is my pleasure to present to you the class of 2021 graduates of the Renaissance School of Medicine at Stony Brook University.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, and upon recommendation of the faculty, I confer degrees upon all of you who have completed the respective requirements with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. You are now graduates of the Renaissance School of Medicine at Stony Brook University. Congratulations.
New doctors, please remain standing. I'm going to administer the Hippocratic Oath. So if there are physicians in the audience amongst family and friends and on the stage, I encourage you to please retake this oath with the graduating class of 2021. I solemnly vow to that which I value and hold most dear, that I will honor the profession of medicine, be just and generous, and help sustain colleagues in their service to humanity. That just as I have learned from those who preceded me, so will I instruct those who follow me in the science and the art of medicine. That I will recognize the limits of my knowledge and pursue lifelong learning to better care for patients and prevent illness. That I will seek the counsel of others when they are more expert, so as to fulfill my obligation to those who are entrusted to my care. That I will not withdraw from my patients in their time of need. That I will lead my life with integrity and honor, using my position wisely. That whatsoever I shall see or hear of the lives of my patients that is not fitting to be spoken, I will keep in confidence. That I will maintain this sacred trust, holding myself far aloof from wrong, from corrupting, from the tempting of others to vice. That above all else, I will serve the highest interests of my patients through the practice of my science and my art. That I will be an advocate for patients in need and strive for justice in their care. I now turn to my calling, promising to preserve its finest traditions with the reward of a long experience in the joy of healing. I make this vow freely and upon my honor. Congratulations. You may be seated. It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Mark Levine Weinberg, class of 2021, who will give the graduate closing remarks. Take it away.
Well, well, well. Graduation has occurred. Thank you, Dr. Wertheim, for the introduction. Thank you, President McGinnis, Dr. Kashansky. Thank you to all my classmates for allowing me the honor of speaking here today, placing your faith in me with this task. I have been asked to give a prospective, forward-looking talk, which does make sense since Chineze was not a doctor when she gave her speech, and I am a doctor and am thus qualified to tell you all about what lies ahead. So I would like to tell you all a brief story today. It begins, as any Stony Brook medicine story begins, by God's grace finding a covered parking spot on the second level of the HSC garage, spending 3 minutes in my car, summoning the courage to enter the space cubes, and resigning to my fate as my carefully coiffed hair is blasted to smithereens by the fan at the HSC entrance. This morning, I'm headed to the medicine floors for my sub-internship. During my sub-I, there was one patient that I took care of for the entire month. We'll call him Greg. He was a gentleman of his late 60s who was suffering from a very rare autoimmune disease that affected every part of his body. His arms and legs burned from neuropathy, his lungs wheezed, his throat seared, and he had lost half of his body weight. This morning, when I walked into Greg's dark room, he just shook his head at me, back and forth. "What's wrong?" I asked. He looked up, his eyes twinkling a somber seafoam green. "I can't do this anymore." He looked away, arms crossed. All the tests, all the poking and prodding. I'm done. "I'm so sorry," I said. "I know you've been through a lot and you've lost so much. I know it's hard for you to see from your perspective, but every day you're doing a little bit better. 3 days ago, you couldn't keep any food down, and yesterday you ate half your meal." It was a quick pep talk, but it seemed to infuse him with the strength to get through one more day. I walked out of his room, proud, thinking, hey, maybe I do got this after all. Later that day, I popped my head into Greg's room. "No one's come to help me eat today." It took all of his wind to raise his voice at me. "No one wants to help me because I take too long to eat." "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That's terrible. I'll find your nurse and see if someone can help you eat now." I stepped into the hallway. Why can no one here do their jobs? I thought to myself. Why is this my problem? Of course he complained to me. Look at this pleasant, only mildly weathered face. There's no way he would have complained to the resident about this. They were ugly thoughts. I was in the hall, jaw clenched, looking for someone to tell about Greg's needs, but there were no eyes to be met. Then I remembered my conversation with Greg that morning. Eating was more than a meal for him. Eating was his progress. Food was his healing. Food was his medicine. I closed my eyes, slowly breathed in, let it out, and pivoted back into the room. "I'll help you eat," I said. We looked at each other, smiled and shrugged, and I dug the plastic spoon into the pureed yams. At this point in writing these closing remarks, my stomach growled. I got up to make breakfast. I aggressively stroked my hair, wondering what the heck was my point in telling this story. Cool story, bro, I thought. I cracked an egg into a mug, and huge shell shards littered my soon-to-be sustenance. Well, isn't this the perfect metaphor for my life right now, I thought. I can't even do the simplest task like write a short speech with a somewhat intelligible purpose. This isn't even a little shell fragment I won't notice if it gets cooked into the egg. These are massive failure fragments. I grabbed a fork to begin my fishing expedition. Much to my surprise, these large failure fragments were a lot easier to remove than the usual tiny shard of shell that I may let slip in once in a while. I usually spend minutes fishing out the tiny piece of shell when, if I just let it go, allowing perfection to rest for a moment, it would not have any real effect on my dining experience. And now I was so caught up in how badly I'd messed up that when I actually went to solve my large shell problem, it was a lot easier than the small shell problem. I may have something here. So I guess, in much the same way, Greg's feeding needs were my large shell problems that day. They seemed like monumental inconveniences in an already busy day, but when it came down to it, there was a very easy solution to the problem. Helping feed Greg for just 5 minutes, I made a bigger impact than if I had spent those 5 minutes trying to find someone else to do it for me. Food was his hope. So I guess what I'm saying is that each day we go to work is going to be like cracking an egg. A small fragment might fall in, and that's going to frustrate the heck out of us. And we're going to be tempted to spend every waking second fishing it out to make things perfect. The small fragment could be an ugly thought we have occasionally, or that bit of feedback from your attending that you just can't stop replaying, or that annoying med student who you're really not in the mood to drag around that day. We should acknowledge the small fragment, but remember that those tiny things that momentarily pull our attention can't be helped and don't much influence the good work we're doing. When we're faced with large fragments, those problems that seem big and make us want to run away, let's not hesitate to just grab the fork, or whatever your preferred wrangling device is. An EndoCatch, perhaps? Just because a problem seems big doesn't mean it doesn't have an easy solution. So let's get out there and fire up our griddles and go ahead. Serve me a little shell in the egg. I won't notice. I'll just be happy that you remembered breakfast is my favorite meal. Thank you, everyone.
And we conclude our ceremony with a special alumni message.
Congratulations, class of 2021. We did it.
On behalf of the Stony Brook Alumni Association, congratulations to you, class of 2021. Good luck with your future endeavors.
Congratulations, Seawolves. I am so proud of you. You did it. I cannot wait to see what you accomplish. Go out and conquer the world. I am rooting for you. Flowers to you. Congratulations.
Hello, class of 2021. Congratulations on achieving your goal of graduating from Stony Brook University.
Congratulations to the class of 2021. You guys did it. Welcome to the alumni family.
Hey, class of 2021. You've had to overcome many hurdles this year, but you've persevered and accomplished so much. But don't stop now. This is just the beginning. Congratulations, class of 2021.
Congratulations to the Stony Brook University class of 2021. You've endured a truly historic senior year and nothing can stop you now. So get out there and show the world what Seawolves are made of.
You're now armed with a great education from one of the nation's best universities. It's time to go out and make your mark on this world, just like the 200,000 plus alums who've come before you. To the class of 2021, congratulations. Enjoy this day, and remember, you're a Seawolf for life.
Congratulations, class of 2021. My name is Rob DeBrouwer, class of 87, and president of your Alumni Association. Congratulations again, stay connected and involved.
Congratulations, class of 2021. Welcome to the Alumni Association.
Congratulations to all of our graduates and their families. Our ceremony is now concluded. Thank you.